Okay, now we'll study the module number 3, that is JavaScript. Okay. So this is one of the scripting language which is going to be used for the client-side scripting language. It is going to be to validate the things. Okay. So what happens basically is when we will be going to communicate between the client and the server. Okay, client side the web page validations, it has to be done. If we are not going to do that, what happens, the more load will be towards the server side, and more time is going to be taken to validate or to correct the things. Then it should come back to the client for the request order that has been made. Now the solution for this is JavaScript. Okay, JavaScript is going to be used towards the client side validations, so that it is going to validate, and the ready state, that is what is required for the browser, that is server to do that task, it is going to be given to the server, so it is going to be faster that it is going to execute. That is a major concept of studying about this JavaScript. Okay, so when the JavaScript is going to be there, so it is one of the programming language again. Okay, so we will be going to study the variables, okay, declarations, and all these things are going to be there. Even whatever the normal programming languages are there, similarly those concepts are going to be present here also. Okay, JavaScript is a browser executable program. It is going to be, okay, it can be embedded in HTML. Okay, and one more thing in this is when you will be using this JavaScript, it is going to support most of the object-oriented concepts except inheritance and polymorphism. Okay, so hence it is called as an object-based language. Now what exactly that it is going to do in the client-side scripting? Okay. So let us learn the concepts over here. So here we will be going to discuss about the client-side scripting, what exactly the JavaScript is, and what it can do for the programming, then design principles for the programs, then from where it is going, it goes to the execution. Okay, so where does JavaScript go? So let us see all these 4 points now in this particular presentation. Okay, now let us start with the diagram here, that it's a client side execution. When a browser is going to be there, the user is going to be present, and first thing is that he wants some information from the server. What he is going to do, he is going to request by using the get method. There are methods are there, so get method is going to use for the this particular file, that is vacation.html. Web browser is going to send that information to the browser here only, execute that JavaScript as it is required. So this is JavaScript, this is a program, is there HTML program that it is going to be, and if any queries are there in that, any mistakes are going to be present in that, so the JavaScript itself, it is going to correct and it is going to be sent. The browser can layout and display the page on the user. So if any corrections, if it is going to be there in the JavaScript, okay, the browser, the user only is going to correct and he is going to send it back. So that is this way, the if any errors are not going to be present in that, then directly it goes to the server and it is getting executed. Then what are the advantages of this JavaScripting basically towards the client side programming? So first thing is that processing can be offloaded, means from the server to client machines, so they will be reducing the load on the server. So most of the things that it is going to be done by the corrections are going to be done by the JavaScript. The browser can respond more rapidly. Okay, disadvantage, more rapidly to user events. Then a request is to the remote server, it is ever good. It means to say that as soon as possible that it is going to give the responses, because there is no errors in that particular page, which the impact of that is improves the user experience. Then JavaScript can interact with the downloaded HTML in a way that a server cannot, because already the data is going to be in the system itself. So automatically the interaction towards the that particular page is going to be more frequent than the server information. Okay. So JavaScript is going to interact with the more information towards the local downloaded HTML program. Okay. It creates a user experience more like desktop software, as simple as HTML. Okay. It means to say that here JavaScript is towards the client side, and all the validations and all these things that it is going to be done, and only the work of execution of that particular operations is going to be going to the server. Okay, so it is going to be fast. That is the advantage that JavaScript is having. Okay, some disadvantages also there. Okay, so it is nothing but programmers how they will be going to take this particular application basically. So there is no guarantee that a client has a JavaScript enabled. Possibilities are there. Okay, maybe that particular client is not having the JavaScript. One important thing is in this is IDEOs synchronizes between the various browsers. This problem is there. Browsers and operating system make it difficult to test for all the operational client configurations. Okay. See what happens basically is with this, some browser that it works, some browser it is not. The same program works for the some browser it is going to give the error. This problem is there. And one more important thing is that heavy web applications cannot be completed to debug and maintain. Always it is going to be true. If more applications are going there, more programs are going there, any mistakes is going to be done in that, it is very difficult to trace it. That is the disadvantage of JavaScript. Okay. Then what is JavaScript? A JavaScript runs right inside the browser, first thing, and JavaScript is dynamically typed, means it can be executed simultaneously. Then JavaScript is object oriented, in that almost everything is going to be there as an object, but it's not object oriented language, it's an object based language. Okay, the exception C is going to say here the objects in JavaScript are prototype based rather than class based. Understood here? It's a prototype based rather than class based. Usually class is there in the object oriented language. Okay, which means that JavaScript shares some systematic features of PHP, Java, okay, C#, these languages that it is going to share, some concept that it is going to share it. So here the framework of that JavaScript is going to be there. You can able to see here. Okay, you can see here that this date picker is there, okay. Accordation control is there, autocomplete operations are there. Okay. Then image slider is going to be there. Okay, like this you can able to slide that particular images, so clicks. Okay, then here boxes are there, so you can able to create all those things, specified things that you can able to create it. So program you can write it like autocomplete program you can write, accordation programs you can write, date picker, because you'll be going to write in different formats will be there. So you can, it's better to have the date picker so that it is going to pick that particular date in the proper fashion and it is going to print in that text box. So these are the frameworks of the JavaScript. It is. Yeah. So we'll be having some design principles of JavaScript here. So when designing a software to solve that particular problem, okay, we'll be going to have the abstract solutions, okay, which is going to be a cognitive model, and in your mind what exactly that it is going to be done, that you can able to do it. It's the most common articulating such a cognitive model by the team player, because the project is going to be going to people's and everybody is going to work on that, but only thing is that you have to concatenate. So finally it should be added to one module. That is the design principle that you should follow it. Object oriented programming, okay, the software layers are going to be there in this, which is going to process the classes that have similar functionality and